And good morning, everybody. Welcome, Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, how are you this morning?
I am well. Avs get another one on the road last night, right?
Yeah.
Finishing strong in the third. Nathan MacKinnon. Dude, where are we? We're already he's the best player in the NHL, right?
Yeah, you can make the case that he may have overtaken Connor McDavid.
I think you can make that argument now. That would have been something that probably over the last, even with his last 2 years with monstrous production, that includes a Hart Trophy and the whole 9 yards, I think that you still would have probably given the nod to but you're at a point now where I think Nathan MacKinnon is the best player on the planet.
Well, let's put something into perspective. He's on pace for 70 goals this season. And the last time anyone scored 70 or more, you have to go back to the 92-93 season when Alexander Mogilny and Teemu Selanne both hit 70-plus goals.
Wow.
So it's been 33 years since we've seen anything like that. Now, I will add to that just for fun. He is also on pace to finish with the third best plus-minus in the history of the league.
Wow. Okay, that shines a little bit of a different light, right?
Yep.
I mean, if he's been a top 5 player for anywhere in the last 5-7 years, whatever it is, he's in some rarefied air right now. He was spectacular again last night. Avs finished strong. They do what they do. They beat so-so teams, even on the road, by, kind of just closing. They closed the deal. Now, they can't do it in overtime or in a shootout, but my God, last night they're down going to the third, and boom, they just take care of their business. It was a very impressive win, I thought.
I think it is the first time this season that they have come back in the third period to win.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, that's right.
So you have a team that by far and away has the most goals, has given up the fewest goals. Their point differential is outrageously better than anybody else in the league. They're clicking everywhere. Marty Necas, by the way, has one more point than Mikko Rantanen, in case anybody cares.
Yeah.
So they are firing all over. They are healthy. They're getting great goaltending. They're taking care of their own end and scoring in bunches. Other than that, they're playing okay.
I thought it was interesting. I read or heard whatever that Gabe Landeskog kept them after practice earlier this week to work on the power play. I thought that was interesting. That's probably something, I don't know, Eric, without that kind of leadership, specific leadership the last few years, he's the kind of guy that when he says that, nobody flinches and they just get out on the ice. Right. I don't know if they've had that kind of presence from a leadership role over the last few years in his absence. But now you've got they just have got a really nice, they've got a great thing going right now. It's I mean, other than their power play, what don't they have going at a remarkably high level right now? They got everything that they want, everything that they need. That's why you're 27-2 in regulation.
Right.
Wow.
I mean, when you look at the Avalanche, you look at the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, right.
Because I can't think of too many teams or a team in each sport that has gotten off to this type of start in the same season. Both are borderline and could be historic.
Yeah.
Because right now, both teams, Oklahoma City and the Avalanche, are on pace.
Yeah. It's really good theater every night they play. It really is.
I want to tell you about the Sportsbook Bar and Grill. You can find them in the DTC Highlands Ranch Inn, Parker. Outstanding food, great burgers, great wings, tons of sauces, outstanding appetizers. It is a sports bar that was founded by my friends Judson and Jeremy well over a decade ago. When they started, they had one location in the DTC. Now they have 3. All of them are humming. It is a sports bar that was founded and developed and created by sports fans. So when you walk in there, honestly, you would say, yeah, I'd put together a sports bar this way. Menu, when they first started, was meh. Now it is absolutely outstanding. Just like the Avalanche, the sports book is clicking on all cylinders as well. Go check them out, DTC, Highlands Ranch, and Parker. Time now for the lead.
The Lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Talk about our favorite topic, power rankings. Last week we talked about how the Broncos had the best record in football, didn't manage to crack the top spot in 9 power rankings. This week, the Broncos, did you know this or did you read this in the show notes?
What? Did I know what?
How many of those 9 that we mentioned last week in which they were not number 1, of those 9, how many of those are they number 1? Did you know before you read the show notes? Or maybe you didn't read the show notes?
No, I read the show notes. I think you said 2.
2.
I saw 3 yesterday where they, but I was looking at different ones. I have now fallen into the trap.
Yeah.
Of looking at power rankings because you like playing with power rankings. So
well, it's a topic where we can kill a full 40 minutes for this.
Yeah,
podcast.
Good call, my friend. Good call.
Well,
but to your point, it is interesting because we've talked a lot this season, and especially in the last few weeks as things have gotten more interesting, about national narratives, national perceptions. And this is at least one tool that you can get a sense for where the level of belief is nationally. Not that we give a damn about where the national, but just from a standpoint of, okay, what are people thinking out there? I guess from that standpoint, it is somewhat interesting. Yes.
Okay. So with that, Yahoo Sports ranked the Broncos number 3. And I'm picking them out for a reason, because the reasoning for putting the Broncos number 3 is interesting to me. He said there are now 3 distinct tiers at the top. The top 2 teams in the NFC are practically 1A and 1B, talking about the Rams and Seahawks in that order. Next, it's the Broncos, and then a gap with everyone else.
Yeah.
Many Broncos fans would disagree. They'd say, hey, we have the best record in football. But with that, is your argument more with the fans that, hey, we got the best record, we should be on top? Not that it matters, but would your argument be with the fans or with the way Yahoo laid it out?
I thought it was a very convenient, easy way to kind of it's not a diss on Denver because they're putting Denver in their own category, but it's kind of a diss against the AFC. And I think that we've heard that all season long. And frankly, we started talking about this really in week 4 or 5. Who do you really fear in the AFC? I mean, this has been kind of a theme all season long. Mm-hmm. I've got no problem. I hear you with where Yahoo's coming from. Yep. I don't necessarily disagree with Yahoo, to be really honest, other than I don't know how big of a gap there is between the Broncos and everyone else.
Right.
I mean, I think that New England is probably right where they should be, a game back with 3 to play. Yep. I mean, that's nipping at their heels a little bit. But I think clearly, at the very least, we are now getting an agreement that the Broncos are the best team in the AFC based on what they have done to this point in the season. 3 games still left. We'll see what they look like at the end of 3 more games. But to this point, it is hard to argue that the Broncos aren't the best team in the AFC right now.
It's funny because even though the Broncos made the playoffs last year, there is still that thought that the Broncos offense isn't up to par.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
Generally speaking, when you look at the body of the entire season, when you look at the Rams, their offense is outstanding. Honestly, if the Broncos play the Rams in the Super Bowl, this is what we're going to be talking about. How, for as good as the Broncos secondary is, how in the world are they going to deal with Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua? Yeah. How are they going to deal with those guys?
Yeah, as long as both of those guys are on the field, right? I mean,
right.
that's part of the challenge right now for Sean McVay. But Matt Stafford has continued to play at a really high level. I think he's probably still the odds-on favorite to win the MVP.
Right.
And we're not even talking about their defense, which is much nastier than people think. I mean, they've got those offensive parts, and they score, and they're fun to watch, and all the things that come with it. But they're really good defensively too. So look, I still would, if I was doing a power rating, which I won't do, but if I was doing one, I would say Rams, Seahawks, Broncos.
Right. And that's what I meant by
where I would have it. I mean,
right. And that's what I meant by, you're going to side with the fans. Hey, we got the best record in the league. Or do you look at Yahoo and what they wrote, or what it wrote, I should say, and say, you know what? I can buy that argument. Listen, when it comes to the best defenses in the league, in no particular order, it's you can toss a coin. Is it the Seahawks have the best defense?
Yeah.
Is it the Broncos, or is it the Texans?
Right. I mean, yeah. Exactly.
Okay. And offensively, the Seahawks are averaging 29 points a game, and the Rams are averaging 30 points a game. That sounds pretty balanced to me.
I don't take exception to the thought that the Rams and the Seahawks are a stutter step ahead of the Broncos. It didn't even, when I was going through it yesterday, it didn't even move me that when I saw them in the 3 hole. And it didn't really impress me that much when I saw them in the 1. I think right now those positions are somewhat interchangeable. The important part is being one of the interchangeable pieces, and they are.
Just for the sake of argument and just for the sake of this conversation, you look at Jacksonville. Gee, where did they come from? New England, where did they come from? The Broncos, in some ways, even though they made the playoffs last year, where did they come from? You can throw Seattle in the where did they come from with Sam Darnold as their quarterback. I'll tell you where they've come from, because you look at their schedule. Let's look at their losses. They've lost 3 times to the 49ers, 10-win team. They lost the Buccaneers earlier on in the season when the Buccaneers were rolling. Okay. And then, of course, they have lost to the Rams as well. But let's look at some of the wins that they have had. They beat the Jaguars. They beat the Texans. And they also beat the Commanders, which sounds like, who gives a shit? They beat the Commanders. Jaden Daniels played in that game. That game was on the road for Seattle, a bunch of time zones over.
Right.
And they won that game 38-14. The Broncos' signature wins are Philadelphia, and Philadelphia has been up and down, and they beat the Packers. To me, that is their signature win of the year.
I think Houston's a signature win too, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I won't disagree with that at all.
Yeah.
But with the way that Seattle is humming offensively and defensively, I can see why they are number 2. At the end of the day, get to the Super Bowl. If you're the Broncos, let's see who your opponent is.
Yeah.
And then it'll be answered on the field.
Yeah. And even having this discussion right now, I think that the difference in what we're talking about in the quality of teams is, it's not quite splitting hairs, but it's pretty close. I mean, when you have teams that have had that type of success, they have a model and a process that they follow each and every week that allows them to be successful. Maybe it's good health, good plan, good scheme, good talent, all of those things that come together. So if we're arguing, and we're not arguing, if we're just kind of looking at the differences between the Rams and the Broncos, or the Seahawks and the Broncos, or whatever it is, I think that you're measuring them in very slight ways in the differences between teams. So I mean, yeah, you can rank them however you want. I would agree with Yahoo. That is probably the rarefied air right there. Those three teams, and I wouldn't, and I would say that the Patriots probably are somewhere just outside of that because of what they've done all season long. I mean, you've got to give them their due, period.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The Patriots took a hit because they gave up a huge lead against Buffalo. Now, granted, Buffalo's a pretty good team, which leads me into Sports Illustrated was the only ranking which had the Broncos out of its top three, going against what was written in Yahoo. Broncos number 4, Bills number 3. Bills 10-4. Big come from behind win against New England. Broncos are 12-2. Why do you think the Bills are ranked ahead of the Broncos? Is it a legacy thing, or is it simply they have Josh Allen?
It is a legacy thing.
Yeah.
It is they have Josh Allen, and they have plenty of demonstrated ability over the course of the last 5 years. Not as much of it in the postseason as they've had in the regular season.
Right.
But in terms of the legacy, they're the one AFC team, legacy team. I guess the Steelers are there. I mean, they're usually in the playoffs, right? So, I mean, you got to kind of count on the Steelers as well. But they're the one real legacy team in the AFC, that is still going to be in the hunt. So I think that there's a level of comfort with that, and the fact that you've got the defending MVP running your team. So.
Which team has the right to have a bigger chip on its shoulder? Is it the Broncos, who were home underdogs to the Packers, or Jacksonville? Because I look at this game on Sunday, and Jacksonville looks at the Broncos and says, this is our chance to prove to everybody we are for real. I don't think the Broncos look at Jacksonville and say, we need to win this game to prove that we are for real.
Yeah, there are other factors too. I mean, Jacksonville is one game ahead of Houston in the AFC South race at this particular point. So there is weight in the outcome. And they're trying to win a division. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been around the Jaguars very much. What they've done.
You haven't been around the Jaguars at all.
Right.
Hate to burst everybody's bubble, either have I. Unless you flew down to Jacksonville to check out a practice.
Yeah, I guess what I mean is I really haven't even paid attention to Jacksonville.
Right.
I watched and the only reason that I even paid attention to them earlier in the season is because Travis Hunter was in Jacksonville. I saw a little of their win over the Chargers, and the Chargers were decimated, but they still got their ass kicked by the Jaguars, who were playing at a high level, and it was a noticeable win. It was. But I mean, I don't know how big the chips are on their shoulder. I know the Jaguars have won 5 straight. They're 10-4. They've got a lot to play for.
All I'm saying is I think Jacksonville is approaching this game against Denver in some ways. Maybe the Broncos, not the players of the organization, but the fans and the media looked at the Broncos taking on the Packers.
Yeah.
Go beat Green Bay, and that will tell me, okay, the road for the Broncos is paved to win the AFC. Beat the Packers, a team that's very good offensively and defensively. And they passed that test. For Jacksonville, even though they've had some impressive wins, the Chargers win, despite all of the injuries, was an absolute beatdown.
Yeah, it was.
The Jaguars' defense against the Chargers' offense.
Yeah,
it
was a beatdown. You're right.
It really was. So the Jags have had some impressive wins, but I think they look at this game against the Broncos. We're going to go in and take on the top team in the AFC that has the best record in the NFL, and if we win this game, everyone will take us seriously.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's an overarching thing. I mean, I guess I don't think that everyone will take us seriously is a really important factor for teams in the NFL. I think that there's an inward confidence in what you're doing and your process that really carries you from week to week. I really do. I believe that. It's taken time for me to get there over the years, but the professional game is just different. The Broncos know they're good. The question for the Broncos this week is how quickly can they turn the page on success? You know, they had probably their biggest moment of the season, one of their biggest moments of the season. If we're going to simplify it, and I'm hesitant to do that, a prove it game, okay, fine. They've done it. Now, how do you deal with the success? You've got 3 games left. Everything is still right in front of you.
Right.
You can't really afford, you can afford a little bit of, there's a little margin for error, but not much of one. So you're still playing for an awful lot. The Jacksonville Jaguars are not playing for what the Broncos are playing for, but in their own right, they're still trying to beat Houston out for the top seed and a division title. There's a lot at stake in this game, no question. And it may be different for each team. The Broncos are trying to maintain and continue to improve. Maybe Jacksonville is coming in with a tremendous opportunity to prove themselves somehow. But I'm pretty sure the Jacksonville Jaguars are pretty confident about who they are at 10-4 and 5 straight wins.
I'm not suggesting that they're not confident.
Right.
I'm suggesting this would be their marquee win of the season.
Okay. I would go with that. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I'll ask you,
yeah,
what was the Broncos' marquee win of the season? Going to Philadelphia, short week, Eagles undefeated, defending Super Bowl champs, getting ready to fly to London, or beating the Packers at home?
Well, I don't want to diminish the Philadelphia win because I don't think
That's my point. Then you just made my point.
Yeah, but
the Packers game was their signature win. And we talked about it going into the game.
Yeah, but that's in a vacuum. You don't get the level of importance for the outcome in the Packers game doesn't happen without the way that they won in Philadelphia. That was week 5. That was a 4-0 football team or 2-2 football team, I think, going in there. And that was, to me, the seminal moment of development for this football team. The level of belief and confidence and understanding of, damn, we're a pretty good football team, was sown on that day. It was magical being there, and you sensed it in the locker room. And they have built each week from that point. But I would agree, who they played, when they played them, and what was at stake, the win that you will remember is the Packers win. But boy, I'll tell you what, that Philly win may have opened the gates to all of this happening.
Yeah, but the difference is the Broncos played a far better, far more complete game against the Packers than they did against their fourth quarter offensive outburst.
Yeah, you're right.
And getting shut down in the opening 3 quarters.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And anytime you beat the defending champs, it's a marquee win.
Yeah.
Period. So it's looked at that way. We went and beat the undefeated defending champs on the road. Right there, that's going to be near, if not at the top of your list.
Absolutely.
But with the way this team has evolved, specifically offensively, the Packers win was their most impressive of the season.
What happens to the Packers win if they lose this week to Jacksonville?
I don't think that win takes a hit. I just think that, there's a team in the AFC that can come on the road and beat the Broncos in the playoffs. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that probably would be the way I'd look at it too. It's like, oh, okay, they got cut at home, and look, they bleed. It's not impossible to win in Denver.
It's good that
Yeah.
It's good that they're playing Jacksonville because there's no reason to be feeling really good about yourselves being the Packers. If the Raiders were coming to town, different.
Yeah.
If a bad team is coming to town, then it's like, wow, what a drop off that was. They have a 10-win team coming to town that's on a heater.
Yeah.
Specifically offensively. Coming up after the break, I think it is fair to say Kevin Stefanski's job in Cleveland is on the line. And he probably won't be back. So who could be filling in? A guy from yardbarker.com wrote an interesting article on who should be taking over in Cleveland. And boy, we could talk about this pick by this guy from Yardbarker for hours. But we only have about 15 minutes. So we'll jam it all in next. Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. And don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corned bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. All their locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook, great hangout bar, great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. They are the sports bar.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a Ford Maverick Tremor truck or over $25,000 in cash the weekend of January 9th. Daily cash drawings are every 45 minutes between 10 a.m. and midnight. Players can earn daily entries with every locked-up jackpot or by redeeming players' points on their players' cards. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, great promotions, delicious food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
And welcome back. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Want to tell you about Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. We worked with them a couple of times over the last month or so. Our hot water heater went out suddenly, and the showers were absolutely freezing. Mandy called Dawn, one of the owners. Cody and Dawn own it, and they were out here in a matter of hours taking care of our hot water heater. We needed it replaced. I've told you they're not going to sell you anything that you don't need. But knowing that our hot water heater was 10 years old, that was easy. Totally got that. But then we had problems with our furnace, and it was a newer furnace, and it was a quick fix, and they were out here immediately as well. Fair price, great service, great family-owned business, tons of 5-star Google reviews. Highly, highly recommend Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 5-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Yardbarker.com's Anthony Ferris wrote an article titled, Why the Browns Should Replace Kevin Stefanski with Deion Sanders. Ferris writes this: few would argue that Deion Sanders would make a better pro coach than a college coach. He rarely recruits high school players, opting for the transfer portal route instead. Home visits with Deion are non-existent. As a pro football Hall of Famer, obviously knows the game inside and out. If coaching in the NFL, he wouldn't need to worry about recruiting or NIL. Before we dig deep into Deion potentially coaching his son, and that's a long conversation, do you agree that Deion would be a better NFL head coach than a college coach?
Well, he hasn't been a very good college coach yet, right? So, I mean, I'm not trying to be, shocking.
Well, overall, he has.
Well,
I mean, when you go back to Jackson State,
okay,
just to give you a little pushback, but with Colorado, he has a losing record. He had one great season, and you can make the case. He has been Tom Brady. What do I mean by that? Bill Belichick, greatest coach of all time. How did Belichick do without Tom Brady? My question to anybody would be, how has Deion done without Shedeur Sanders?
With respect, and I mean this, Deion beat people at Jackson State with Jimmys and Joes. Just beat them with better people.
I agree.
And you can do that at that level with respect. And it is with respect because those guys are scholarship athletes. And believe me, I have great respect for that. In the Big 12, so far, we haven't seen it. We saw it for 1 year. How much of that is, Shedeur and Travis Hunter or how much of that is Deion and the plan and the coaching staff? I mean, it's a combination thereof. You give credit where it's due. They won 9 games. Okay. But we have seen 2 seasons on opposite ends of the spectrum, trying to be balanced out by that one good season. So at this particular point, I don't know if Deion Sanders is a really good coach at this level. I do know this. I don't want to just go into him trying to coach at the next level and basically starting it off by saying, as the gentleman did in the article, well, he doesn't have to deal with NIL and he doesn't have to deal with the portal. That doesn't make you a good coach in the NFL. You've still got to be able to, you got to be able to scheme. You got to be able to adjust. I would make the argument that
you also have to be able to draft and do everything under a salary cap.
Yeah, well, now you do have people in your franchise that can do that for you, but I will just start with this. I think the biggest question about Colorado over the last couple of years, 3 years, has been their ability to adjust within game. I'm not trying to oversimplify it, but just take that alone. I think that there are very definite questions about Deion and his ability at the next level. No one is going to argue that he was one of the game's greatest, but the argument is, why does that necessarily mean that you translate into being a great coach at the next level, a great leader of men, a great curator of the locker room, all of those things? Where is the proof? Don't tell me that he was just, we all know he was one of the greatest players to ever play his position. Yeah. We all know that. He's got the jacket to prove it. That's not the question. The question is, do you want that type of leadership style that we have seen to this point? And that's all we have to go on because he hasn't coached in the NFL.
Right.
The way that he's done it at Colorado, would you immediately apply that to the NFL and think, well, this should work? I don't think there's any tangible evidence of that, frankly.
At the risk of criticizing Sanders, I'm going to compare him to other NFL head coaches. Let's start with Sean Payton. Culture changer, knows how to get the right players in. Ben Johnson with the Bears, culture changer. He has made Caleb Williams kind of look like a top 10 pick, even though he was the number 1 pick in the draft. Mike Vrabel, culture changer. Liam Cohn with Jacksonville, culture changer. As Deion Sanders has said, it's not about building culture. It's about winning games. And the two, in theory, can go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. But let's be perfectly honest here. Peyton, day one, walked in, winning record. Ben Johnson, winning record. Mike Vrabel, day one, winning record, meaning how his first season has unfolded.
Yes.
Liam Cohn, unbelievable. Talk about an organization with Jacksonville that has no history of winning culture over an extended period of time. Deion Sanders didn't bring a winning culture year one, did he?
No.
They won 4 games. I understand what they were the year before, but I do understand what the Bears were the year before this year, and Jacksonville was the year before, and the Patriots were the year before, and the Broncos were the year before. We're talking about some seriously good, great head coaches who not only have changed the culture. Sean Payton, excellent play caller. Vrabel, excellent play caller on defense. Ben Johnson, excellent play caller on offense. Liam Cohen, excellent play caller on offense. Yeah. I don't see that with Deion Sanders. Do you?
I haven't seen it to this point, no. I think that there are far more questions than there would be answers moving to the next level. I have every confidence that Deion would immerse himself in the process and but from a standpoint of demonstrated ability, other than him telling us so, you know that I'm going to win, you know it, I know it. Well, I don't really know that. And there are things that in his leadership style that he's done here at Colorado that I would question would immediately transfer to the NFL. I mean, you got to be careful, man. You've got to have the locker room has got to be yours. Yeah, you've got to win the locker room in the NFL, and that's part of what culture is to me. It's part of you got to lead them to water. You got to make them understand that it's one for all and all for one and one for all. And we have a process. If you believe and work on the process, you will reap the rewards from it. You will win football games. That is what Sean Payton has done. He shows them the way. They understand that is the way to win games, and then they go out and do it. But it's not with a snap of the fingers. It takes time. It takes energy. It takes belief in the process and the system that you have and the importance. How much, Eric, every week, Sean Payton makes a comment on getting the right guys, having the right makeup. It's a constant theme. It wasn't just back in the summer 2 or 3 years ago. It's almost a daily theme when he's asked about it or when he talks about it. He talks about having the right people, the buy-in, all of the things that go with it. Well, that is, for me, culture more than anything else, to have that kind of buy-in.
You want the right guys on your roster for what you are looking for in terms of building a team. To me, Deion Sanders just wants talent. The rest of it, if you're a bad guy, whatever, as long as you can play. Like Jerry Jeudy is the perfect guy for Deion Sanders.
That might be very interesting,
right? By the way, has Deion Sanders even proven he can build a coaching staff? How many offensive coordinators have they had since he's been there? And all of us knew Pat Shurmur was certainly the wrong guy. But with that, let's get into Deion potentially coaching Shedeur. How do you and there's going to be preferential treatment. There is preferential treatment in the NFL, even though some coaches try and tamp that down. Like, is there preferential treatment for Bo Nix? To a point there is, because he is the quarterback. I get it. But you cannot have the type of preferential treatment that Deion had for Shedeur at the college level, I don't think, at the pro level, because this is a professional locker room. And I think pros would be impressed sitting in front of Deion Sanders right away because of his gold jacket. But eventually, it's all about winning. It's all about coaching. It is all about ingenuity and all of those things. And those other 4 coaches I mentioned, who will all be near the top of Coach of the Year, sorry, I don't see that in Deion Sanders, but how do you think it would go over if Deion is coaching his son with the Browns?
I think it makes it an even more difficult dynamic. If I were Deion and this opportunity came up, if I was going to coach, I'd coach somewhere else. It would not be coaching my son. I think you're opening up a Pandora's box. The reason that Bo Nix has had a good portion of the success that he has had goes beyond his ability to process, his physical ability. It's because he has done the work and has commanded the respect of the locker room. The locker room is squarely behind this guy as the leader of this football team in his second season. It started early and it has continued to grow. You will not find a guy in that locker room that will say anything negative about or doubting Bo Nix and what he is trying to do as the leader of this football team. That takes time. It takes demonstrated ability. But you can't fool veterans.
Correct.
You can't fool these guys, man. You've got to put in the work and you've got to be the real deal. And you can't allow players to kind of skip on that or cut corners on that. That to me is a non-negotiable for a quarterback in the NFL.
Deion Sanders is more inspirational phrases than hardcore coaching. And inspirational phrases and quoting the Bible only goes so far. Because what does Deion Sanders coach? He doesn't coach the defense, doesn't coach the offense. And how many NFL coaches don't coach one or the other as the head coach? Very few.
Yeah, very few. Very few. I think the dynamic that we have seen in the last 3 years would not work in the National Football League in terms of building a staff.
I mean, let me ask you something. He brought in Warren Sapp, D'Amato Pecco, and Marshall Faulk. I didn't see their fingerprints all over a bunch of wins. Those three guys, all, two of them Hall of Famers. We know Pecco from playing here. Sure. What an unbelievable human being he is.
Yeah, great.
So if their coaching isn't working at the college level, why would you think it's going to work at the pro level?
Well, that's a fair question. And
it's not like Deion Sanders can stand at a podium and say to free agents, you know where to find me.
No.
Yeah, make sure you have your checkbook, because that's what they're actually doing with him anyway with NIL.
I would really like to see, and I say this really sincerely, I would like to see Deion Sanders get it done at Colorado.
I would like to see him get it done at Colorado, and I would like to see, for as critical as I have been of both Deion and Shedeur, I would like to see Shedeur do this on his own.
Yeah.
I really would. Shedeur doesn't need dad anymore at the NFL level.
No.
Because honestly, I think Shedeur will be a better quarterback in the NFL than Deion would be a head coach in the NFL.
In fact, I think it works against him.
Yeah.
Yeah, to your point. And I think it's a good one. I do think and I think Deion's he may get the chance to do this somewhere, and it will be very interesting if and when he does do something like that. I will be interested in see what organization gives him the chance to do it. I'm not convinced that it's out there yet. It may be, but I really would like to see him get the job done at Colorado. To me, at the end of his time this season, he had been humbled by their lack of success. I think it hit him squarely between the eyes. I think his competitive nature, and we all know that he's got it. I mean, that's what this guy's all about. I think it has been challenged, and I really want to see him, and I will be cheering for him from afar next year to hey, Go out and get it done. Show Colorado that this was a really good investment in the future of their program, because they're not there yet. All of the great things that he's done in an ancillary way for the city of Boulder and the program itself in terms of visibility, that's all undeniable. But as we said 3 years ago and 2 years ago and even last year, it's about winning. All the rest of that stuff becomes so much more inconsequential when you're not winning football games, period. Getting to the college football playoff and having a chance to win championships. Let's see it. That's all.
That's going to do it for us. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Make it the best possible day you can.